As we're settling into life on Alola, this young lady is flipping hers upside down. Running from some clearly hostile individuals, she's bailed out by a little guy with some big power tucked away in her bag. This opener alone is a clear departure from what we've come to expect from Pokémon, marking Game Freak's first big attempt at shaking things up. We're rewarded with some awesome character additions and a more substantive story, but it ends up being a serious slog to get through on repeat playthroughs. The Island Challenge replaces the Gym Challenge, where we fight powerful Totem Pokémon and a Kahuna. And while Mega Evolution is technically still present in these games, the real draw is the newly added Z moves. From this point on, every generation aims to ignore the gimmick from the prior generation in favor of something new. The Z crystals we receive throughout the challenge will act as our badges and signify our level caps. Despite the sizable step up in difficulty that Gen 7 brings, I'm hoping for the best following a flawless streak in Gen 6. After following Professor Kukui to Iki Town, we find that mysterious girl, Lillie, only a few steps ahead. With main character energy, we run in to save Nebby from some Spearow, only to require saving ourselves from Tapu Koko. The island's guardian recognizes that we're him, and gives us a Sparkling Stone, the key to accessing Z moves, and Hala gives us our starter, finally! I felt naked going so long without one. I decide to go with Deadshot the Rowlet, but this little guy won't be seeing us all the way through just yet. We'll be needing their power a bit later. With a starter in tow though, we get our first introduction to our rival, Hao. He's a pretty chill guy, embodying the relaxed aura of the region. And he has Poplio, meaning Deadshot secures us an easy first victory in battle against him. Kukui himself gives us the catching tutorial and provides us Pokeballs, getting the run started with a level cap of 12. Route 1 is broken up into multiple sections with valid encounters, so we can actually make additions in the early game. With that in mind, we catch Sam the Picky Peck on the Howoli outskirts and then get our festival battle started against Hao. Deadshot trades with Pichu and comes out on top, and he keeps the pressure up to take Poplio down as well. Though this took much longer thanks to all the debuffs we ate. Tapu Koko sounds off in approval, we take the Z-Ring, and eventually get our Island Challenge started. Our first roadblock is the Route 1 Trainer School, a deceptively difficult first stop in the run. The team powers up in preparation by catching Sledgette the Alolan Grimer and defeating the students ahead of a battle with Teacher Emily. Sledgette does an awesome job of handling the menacing Magnemite with Bite, and Sam takes her place to contend with Alolan Meowth. Sam cuts it incredibly close, but ultimately defeats Meowth with Rock Smash for the win. We're then introduced to Team Skull as we explore Howoli City. These numbskulls are underachievers that band together to terrorize trainers on their Island Challenge, doing so with some serious style. Sam takes point and takes Zubat out while Ilima handles the other grunt. Immediately afterwards, Ilima tests our readiness for the first trial of the challenge in battle. Sam defeats Yungoos pretty handily, and Sledgette does some decent work against Smeargle before I'm forced to switch to Deadshot. Even though a heal undid all of Sledgette's work, Deadshot is able to take Smeargle out for the win. Heading to Route 2 next, we get into another scuffle with Team Skull and then accidentally kill our Crabrawler encounter. Really would have liked the coverage for our trial, which we dive right into next. The first portion of the trial is straightforward, taking on the Yungoos littered throughout the Verdant Cavern. Team Skull continues to disturb the peace and inadvertently helps us clear a path to the Totem Pokémon. This is where the real challenge lies. Totem Gumshoes makes its challenge with a defense boost and an ally to aid it in battle. Sledgette takes point and uses Poison Gas twice, first to go through the Totem's berry, and then to start chipping it and its ally. The battle turns into a game of attrition at this point, and Sledgette barely holds on before I switch to Deadshot. Thanks to their preference for stat-lowering attacks, Deadshot is able to take Gumshoes out, leaving Yungoos for Sam to finish off. With the Normalium Z acquired, the level cap increases to 15 ahead of our Grand Trial. Before leaving the cavern, we catch and add Maga the Yungoos to the squad. We catch Poof the Cutie-Fly on the newly opened Route 3 and head into Melee Meadow next. Nebby is proven to be quite the troublemaker, and Lillie isn't able to help without a Pokemon of her own, setting aside her timid nature. As we escort Nebby to safety, we find and catch Frixis the Cottony. Hao challenges us to a battle as we head back. He's clearly caring for his Pokemon considering Pichu's already evolved into Pikachu, but that doesn't save it from Sledgette. Frixis starts to trade with Poplio next, using Leech Seed and Stun Spore to debilitate it, and Pooh finishes it off for an easy win. From this point, we spend some time prepping for our battle with Hala. We catch and add Goldilocks the Alolan Diglett to the reserves, and Sam evolves into Trumbeak just in time for our battle. Frixis starts the battle off by debuffing Mankey and boosting up with Growth. Hala burns through a bunch of items in vain as Mankey is dropped anyway. With all of the boosts, Mega Drain is able to take Makuhita down, and Hala sends his Ace Crab Brawler out last. Makuhita's Sand Attack causes us to miss, and we're hit by an all-out pummeling. Thanks to Phrixus' Fairy typing, we resist the Z-move and can safely take our Brawler out for the win. Along with a level cap increase to 20, we receive a Ride Pager, the substitute for HMs. Lillie asks for our help in getting Nebi home, intertwining our stories ahead of a voyage to Akala Island. We've got 3 trials and another kahuna to face this time around, but before we can even think about working towards that, we run into someone familiar. Dexio from Kalos is on vacation with Sina and is looking to stretch his legs in battle. Poof answers the call, making short work of his Slowpoke, and Sludget chomps Espeon for the win. They hand us a Zygarde cube after the win, an element we'll be leaving alone in this run. Our next stop is Route 4, where we find and catch Missy the Lillipup. The team powers up as we work our way through the route over to Paniola Town, getting into another battle with Hao. Sludget continues to put teeth on people, getting a crit Oko with Bite on Pikachu. Hao's Poplio has evolved into Brionne now, but Phrixus is still able to answer the call with Leech Seed and Mega Drain. Brionne's Breakneck Blitz isn't packing enough of a punch, so Phrixus is able to finish it off with a win. I'll enjoy the easy battles against Hao while they last. Our next stop is Paniola Ranch, where the team continues to grow. Sludget nearly dies as we help a ranch hand with an unruly Tauros, we find and catch Kate the Mudbray, and Missy evolves into Herdier. The first of the Akala Island trials is close at hand as we reach Route 5. We find and catch Lore the Fomantis, and then we run into Hao and a trainer named Gladion. Bro is no nonsense, and challenges us to a battle as a member of Team Skull. Missy takes Zubat down, and Gladion sends in Type Null, a literal homunculus of a Pokemon. Phrixus takes a beating and fails to apply a crucial Leech Seed, so Sludget takes over. We get lucky and badly poisoned with Poison Fang, but Null is hitting way too hard for anyone to stay in for long. Thankfully, Kate's able to deal just enough damage with Double Kick for the poison to finish it off. Despite being a member of Team Skull, Gladion is hazed by the grunts before they all leave. Free to take the trial on now, the gang powers up as much as possible before we get it underway. We're introduced to the trial captain Lana as we enter Brooklet Hill, and she asks for our help. With Lapras added to the pager, we can surf and investigate all the splashing in the nearby waters. We catch and add LED the Moralo to the reserves, and we handle some feisty wishy-washy in battle, starting the trial as we head further in. Our challenge is to find and subdue the Totem Wishy-Washy, powered up in its schooling form. To start, Poof uses Thief, stealing and immediately using its Citrus Berry as we're hammered by Water Gun. Phrixus takes over, using Leech Seed on the Totem. I know that someone has to go down here, so I sacrifice Phrixus, failing to land Stun Spore before going down. Missy is looking to finish it as we deal massive damage with Breakneck Blitz next, causing the Totem to revert to its single form. One more takedown knocks the Totem Wishy-Washy out, but the Helper knocks Missy out as well with Brine. Sludget sends the Helper packing with Poison Fang, netting us the win, the Waterium Z, and a Fishing Rod. Sam returns, and Lore joins the team to fill in the blanks as the level cap increases to 22. We head back to Paniola Town, using the Fishing Rod to catch and add Whiskers the Barboach to the team. Team Skull is found stirring up trouble again as we explore Route 6 next, harassing a Drifloon and a girl named Hapu. We take one grunt each in battle, with Poof absolutely bodying the grunt's Drowsy. After they run, we find and catch Bailando the Oricorio, but lose Poof in the process. I was really looking forward to using Rabombi, but that loss was entirely on me. How am I still ignoring matchups after all this time? This trade-off might well be worth it though, as we can use various Nectars to change Bailando's form on the fly. The team does a bunch of training as we work our way towards the site of our next trial, the Wella Volcano Park. Hilariously, Maga evolves into Gumshoes right before being replaced by our volcano encounter, Tiki the Cubone. Once everyone is ready, we get our trial started. The Captain Kiawe aims to test our power of observation, asking us to spot the differences between two dances and getting us to complete some battles. Once we've proven that our eyes work, the Totem Salazzle challenges us to a battle. I pivot from Kate to Sludget immediately, expecting a Poison-type attack. Sludget steals a Pataya Berry with Thief before I send Whiskers out, but he accomplishes literally nothing before being taken out by an onslaught of attacks. Oof. I send Tiki out next, and she obliterates Salazzle and Salandit with Bone Meringue for the win. The level cap increases to 24 with the acquisition of the Firium Z, and Kiawe gives us access to Charizard for flight. I decide to capitalize on our newfound exploration abilities by heading back to Melee Island. Now that we can surf, we head to the hidden Kalae Bay and catch Drake the Bagon. We also do what little EV training we can afford to before we head back to Akala. Our third and final trial on Akala Island is an ingredient harvest with Mallow. We gather things up without issue, and Mallow gets to cooking up the Mallow Special. The aroma draws in the totem Lorantis, and we get our battle started. Sludgette puts in some serious work, tanking the Power Herb Haze and Solar Blade, and poisoning Lorantis with Poison Fang. I pivot into Bailando as Cast Form enters and sets up the Sun, relying on the spread damage of Air Cutter to weaken Lorantis and Cast Form. With the totem dropped by Poison Chip, Bailando nets us the win with one more Air Cutter. The level cap increases to 27 with this win, and the Ruins of Life is our next destination, both to help Lillie and for a battle with Kahuna Olivia. Looks like we're having some influence on Lillie as we meet up with everyone at the Dimensional Research Lab. Kukui's wife Burnett gives us the rundown on Ultra Wormholes and the Ultra Beasts that come from them, teasing events to come before we're free to move on. Talk about instant gratification, we literally just learned about them! As we work our way through Diglett's tunnel, we're introduced to the Aether Foundation. They're clearly good-natured as they're working to help Pokémon, but those are the same guys that we saw chasing Lillie at the start of our adventure. Still, they see Team Skull as a problem, so they can't be all bad. And speaking of, Hao and I get into a double battle with some grunts right after. Drake and Pikachu handle Salandit and Fomantis, clearing our path to reach Coney City. Some more training ensues before yet another run-in with Team Skull. Standing in for the Aether Foundation in battle, Tiki bodies the grunts Alola and Raticate. We've beaten one too many numbskulls though, as we're challenged by Plumeria, Team Skull's big sis. Tiki handles Golbat with Rock Tomb, and then deletes her Salandit with Bone Meringue for an easy win. For the big sis, she doesn't fare much better than the grunts. I do agree with her about their cute dumbness though. There are no more interruptions left, so we finally get things started with Olivia. Kate leads in our battle against her Nosepass, using Double Kick and then High Horsepower to overwhelm. Boldore goes down in identical fashion, leaving her ace Lycanroc to contend with. It hits Kate hard with Bite, but isn't nearly as defensive as her other Pokemon, leading to a High Horsepower Oko. We have a bit of a detour to take as the level cap increases to 29, heading to the Aether Paradise as thanks for helping the Foundation before. The facility acts as a rehab and research center for Pokemon, which only adds to the intrigue of Lillie's predicament earlier. Exploring the grounds leads to our introduction to Lusamine, president of the Foundation. Bringing Lillie up triggers a complete personality switch, but we have no time to dwell on it as an Ultra Beast floats through a wormhole. Tiki is too strong for even a defense-boosted Nihilego, and Bone Meringue sends it packing. Lusamine continues to exposit, showing off a cold, calculated nature, and we're quickly sent back to our island challenge. We christen our arrival on Ula Ula Island with a battle against Hao. If Tiki wasn't holding an Eviolite, Alolan Raichu's Psychic would have been curtains for us. Instead, Bone Meringue is able to connect and solve a major problem. Lore takes over to Tank Brion's Hydro Vortex and does massive damage with Leaf Blade before we're forced to switch. Bailando finishes the job with Acrobatics, and Kate handles Flareon with High Horsepower for the win. Tiki evolves into Alolan Marowak following the battle, just in time for our next trial. We catch Kukui up on current events, and then head to the library with Lillie to learn some more about Nebi's origins. Acerola helps us learn some important info, with a book name-dropping the legendary Solgaleo. Now that we're ready to head to Mount Hokulani, Team Skull rears their heads again. The grunts continue to get easier for our squad to handle, with Tiki taking on Grunt A's Golbat, and Lore defeating Grunt B's Alolan Raticate. From here, it's a straight shot to Mount Hokulani, the site of our next trial. Professor Kukui unveils a secret he's been keeping all this time at the summit, showing Mount Lanakila and the Pokemon League they're constructing there. Once we finish our island challenge, we can cap it off with a run to become Alola's first champion. Making sure not to get ahead of ourselves, we get back on track with a battle against Kukui's old friend Molayne. Drake trades with Skarmory, but he's getting outpaced, so I pivot over to Sludgette. She makes a bit more headway, but we're in danger of a KO, so I play it safe and get Kate to finish Skarmory off. Kate then does big damage to Metang, and I start to switch around until I get Bailando out, finishing Metang off. Alolan Dugtrio hits like a truck, but I'm able to safely secure the win with Tiki's Bone Meringue. Molayne was tough, and he isn't even the trial captain. We'll just have to hope for the best as we do whatever prepping we can and get the trial started. Sophocles' trial is a quiz, with some Pokemon battles in between questions. Answering a few correctly leads to the emergence of the Totem Vikavolt. I had Drake deal with the fodder up front, keeping Tiki in top shape to battle the Totem. Tiki's Lightning Rod ability completely protects her from electric-type attacks, and aside from Charger Bug's Mud Slap, none of their other attacks are an issue. As a result, Tiki is able to slowly but steadily chip away at Vikavolt, taking it out despite the accuracy drops. Kate then takes Tiki's place, getting the KO and the win with Rock Tomb and High Horsepower. Kate evolves into Mudsdale after our win, and the level cap increases to 33 with the acquisition of the Electrium Z. We make a quick return to Malier Garden to give Kukui his mask and end up meeting Team Skull's leader, Guzma. He's destruction in human form, and my favorite character to come out of these games. And he does not hold back. Leading with Golisopod, he sets up like crazy with Swords Dance, leaving Drake free to hit it with Rock Tomb and trigger its emergency exit ability. Rock Tomb continues to impress, dealing big damage to Ariados. Kate takes over when Drake is dropped low, finishing Ariados with High Horsepower. Rock Tomb then knocks Golisopod out, and Guzma starts tweaking before heading out. Our next trial is a bit of a trek to get to, which leads to more powering up for the squad. Drake evolves into Shelgon as we make our way over to Tapu Village. Gladion shares information with us and asks for our help in protecting Cosmog, seemingly unaware that it's with Lillie. Hopefully this doesn't become a problem in the future. As always, instant gratification. We immediately have to protect her from Team Skull, taking Drowsy out with Drake's Crunch attack. Trial time. Acerola wants us to take pictures of ghost types acting silly in the abandoned Thrifty Megamart. As we chase a Pikachu, we catch footage of all 3 stages of the Ghastly line, defeating them in battle. In the back room, the Pikachu we were following wasn't a Pikachu at all, but the Totem Mimikyu. This is a contender for the hardest Totem battle. Sludgette starts the battle off by knocking Mimikyu's Lumberry off, busting its disguise, and poisoning it before we can switch. With a free Omni boost, Mimikyu hits like a truck. We play the pivot game so no one on our end goes down, and Poison can do its thing. Drake is able to use Protect as well, and Mimikyu falls, leaving a Haunter behind to be taken out with Crunch. The level cap increases to 39 ahead of Trouble with Team Skull. Big Sis is here for a rematch since her Numbskulls can't get the job done alone. Kate gets a clean KO on Golbat, and then Oko Salazzle with High Horsepower for the win, leading to Lore's evolution into Lurantis. Such a good design. Our victory here ends up being in vain as Team Skull has taken Yungoos hostage and demands our presence at Po Town. What used to be a town like any other is now the rundown base for Team Skull. On our way there, we run into a couple of pale old dudes. One of them is Unova's Elite Four, Grimsley, losing our wager on a coin toss no matter what he does. The other is Nanu, a cop who stays close by to keep an eye on troublemakers. He has no faith that we'll make it through, but our storming of the base goes more than well with Sludgette's evolution into Alolan Muck. Before long, we find ourselves standing before Guzma himself, getting straight into battle to save Yungoos. Bailando faces off against Golisopod and just misses out on an Oko with Air Slash. Ariados hits hard with Sucker Punch but ultimately falls. Knowing it could KO with First Impression, I send Kate out to tank the hit and end the battle. Guzma leaves with a word of warning, that it doesn't matter whose help he needs to beat us. Trouble's on the horizon. To ensure we're up to the task, I make a quick tour of the islands to grab Nectar. Bailando's ability to change forms on the fly has gone sorely underutilized, which we'll be rectifying now. Heading back to the Aether House with Yungoos and Acerola, it seems Team Skull took their chance and snatched Lillie and Nebby while we were away. Gladion warned us this could happen and we still failed, so he throws down in battle to vent his frustration. Drake trades with Golbat, coming out on top in decent shape. We scout for Gladion's intentions with Protect, and then pivot to Sludgette to deal with Sneasel. She's able to deal with Sneasel easily and continues to put in work, poisoning and taking a big chunk out of Type Null before Tiki finishes it off. Seeing as it's our mess to clean up anyway, Gladion demands we help him get our friends back. Nanu wants to make sure we're up to the task and springs his grand trial on us before we go. It's Lore versus Sableye to start. Sableye packs a punch, but we're able to use Growth a couple times safely and offset the damage with Leech Life before taking it out. Krokorok lowers our defense with Crunch before falling to Leech Life, leaving Alolan Persian for last. Just in case Nanu drops a Z move on us, I pivot into Sludgette. She's able to outdamage the Ace to secure us the Darkinium Z, and a level cap increase to 48. Our mission has us returning to the Aether Paradise, storming yet another base. The Foundation's employees don't make for much of a challenge as we mow them down, taking the elevator up and battling Faba next. His Hypno is deadly with Hypnosis, putting some of our guys to sleep before Kate enters the battle. corkscrew crash misses the mark, but the win is secured right after. Gladion continues to drip feed us info that he inexplicably knows as we progress, getting into more battles along the way. Wicca finally sheds some light on the situation, revealing her history with Gladion and the location of Lillie. Faba gets in the way one more time for good measure, immediately adding 2 more Pokemon to his squad. With Hau on our side, Lore is able to take Slowbro and Bruxish out. Hypno enters the battle to put everyone to sleep again, getting Lore and Tiki before going down. Moving past Faba leads to another roadblock. The help Guzma said he'd need to beat us was the Aether Foundations the entire time. Who would have thought? Side note, I respect this grunt so much for knowing when to fold. Saves me some time before getting into it with the big bad. Bailando leads the battle again, using Revelation Dance to send Golisopod running. Air Slash handles Ariados next, and Golisopod is sent back out to be cleaned up. Guzma's Masquerain is taken out by Revelation Dance next, leaving Pinsir to be OHKO'd by Air Slash for the win. Lillie is getting absolutely torn apart by Lusamine when we find the 2 of them. Lusamine has Nebby and an assortment of Pokemon in cryostasis. You know, just in case you weren't sure she was crazy. On the other hand, you gotta give Hal props for being as oblivious as he is. Somehow he's the only person in that universe not to see that Lillie and Gladion are Lusamine's kids. Despite everyone's warnings, Lusamine uses Cosmog's power and rips open a bunch of Ultra Wormholes, spurring even the Tapus into action. Our role in Gladion's plan is clear: stop Lusamine. Sludgette rises to the occasion with a Gunk Shot OHKO on Clefable to start. Lore enters the battle, using Growth to power up against Milotic. Synthesis keeps her healthy and Leaf Blade OHKOs when she's ready. Mismagius gets the special defense drop with Shadow Ball before Leaf Blade strikes again. Beware is up next, so I get Tiki to take over. Despite her best efforts, Baby Doll Eyes cripples Tiki's offensive capabilities, so I send Bailando out to KO with Air Slash. Lilligant triggers Bailando's Dancer ability, which lets us use a crit Petal Dance and Air Slash back-to-back for the win. Lusamine's determined to see her plans through to the end, and jumps into the fading wormhole with Guzma before it's too late. Nebby's evolved and entered a dormant state after too much use of its power, which leaves only the legendary Pokémon as an option to save them. In another nice character moment, Lillie enters her Z-powered form to help us as we head to Pony Island next. We're quickly guided to Hapu's house, learning that there isn't a kahuna on this island. After going on a journey of her own, Hapu's been found worthy by Tapu Fini and receives a Z-ring, making her kahuna of Pony Island. We'll be battling her eventually, but right now we're to head to Executor Island to collect the Sun Flute. Together with the Moon Flute, we can perform a ceremony to call the legendary Pokémon forth. Beginning to work our way over to the altar for the ceremony, our progress is halted almost immediately by Team Skull. The grunts go down easily in battle, but the real reason we're held up is because they want our help in rescuing Guzma. It goes without saying that we'll be bailing him out, but it's nice to see that these numbskulls actually care for each other. Our island challenge starts to play out in the wrong order next, as we get into our grand trial with Kahuna Hapu. Kate leads against the Alolan Doug trio, getting the OHKO with high horsepower in exchange for a Sandstorm. Lore takes over to OHKO Gastrodon with Leaf Blade, and does big damage to Flygon before Bailando takes over. Her hidden power hits for super effective damage, taking Flygon out. Hapu's Mudsdale is sent out last, so I double switch from Bailando to Tiki and back to Bailando, wasting Hapu's Z-move. Bailando then batters Mudsdale with Air Slash and ends the battle with hidden power. Despite having an ace at level 48, I went into this battle underleveled because the following cap is only 45. Unfortunately for me, I didn't go in underleveled enough. More than half the team goes over as we explore the vast Pony Canyon thanks to the sheer amount of trainers to battle, several of which are mandatory. The totem battles are pretty difficult as it is, so I'm giving myself a pass this one time to use overleveled Pokemon as we start our final trial. A trial without a captain, we're put right into battle against the totem Komo-o. Drake leads, using Protect to scout out attacks. I pivot into Lore as Hakamo-o is called in as backup, then send Tiki out next, getting a crucial speed drop with Rock Tomb before switching over to Kate. Sludgette takes a turn getting nailed by the dragons before it's finally Bailando's time to shine. With a quad resistance to fighting type attacks, she's able to stay healthy enough to trade with the totem, eventually taking it out with Revelation Dance. Hakamo-o is then cleaned up with Revelation Dance for the win, securing the final Z Crystal of our run. The level cap increases to 55, with the climax of the story ahead of us. I get the team to do some training to prepare for the battles ahead, evolving Drake into Salamence. We get the ceremony started, summoning the legendary Pokémon. It was Nebby the entire time, evolving once again into Solgaleo. Nebby carries us through an ultra wormhole to Ultra Space, finding Guzma and Lusamine surrounded by Nihilego. Lillie tries her best to get through to Lusamine, but she's so fixated on surrounding herself with the things she wants that she literally surrounds herself with Nihilego in our first on-screen human Pokémon hybrid. The transformation provides her party with the same aura boosts that the totem Pokémon get, making for one hell of a challenge. Sludgette starts the battle off like we did last time, and Oko's Clefable with Gunk Shot. The Quick Claw puts in major work, activating again to hit Milotic with Gunk Shot. Crunch lowers Milotic's defense, and the Quick Claw activates again to KO. Sludgette lands one last Gunk Shot on Beware before switching to Tiki. Baby Doll Eyes continues to be a nuisance, so I'm forced to switch to Bailando, getting the KO with Air Slash. Kate tanks Miss Magius' Power Gem and Pain Split, and gets the KO with Rock Tomb and Heavy Slam. Lusamine's Lilligant is only able to Teeter Dance as Lore eventually takes it out for the win. Big props to Sludgette for her performance in this one. Nebby uses its powers to separate Lusamine and the Ultra Beast and brings us back to Alola, joining our reserves with a heartfelt send-off from Lillie. Old Man Nanu was watching the entire time and brings us back to his island so we can scale Mount Lanakila and take on the Pokémon League. We've got some battles ahead of us before we even reach the summit, as we get into our final one with Gladion. Bailando starts strong with an Oko on Crobat. Type Null's evolved into Silvally and is immediately up next. Kate takes over, destroying Silvally with Earthquake. Tiki tanks the expected Ice Shard, and Sludgette tanks Night Slash before trading with and beating Weavile. Tiki enters the battle for real this time, landing a crit Flame Charge to Oko Lucario for the win. Climbing Mount Lanakila is uneventful until we reach the summit and get into our last battle with Hau. Sludgette nabs the Oko with Crunch on Raichu to start. Drake dodges Komala's Earthquake on the switch-in and does big damage with Dragon Claw. Hau and I both pivot, me to Lore and him to his Ace Primarina. Lore's health is halved by Moonblast before she gets the KO with Leaf Blade. Hau's Flareon is committing to Flare Blitz as I send Tiki out, ultimately getting the KO with a crit Stone Edge. Drake repeats his play against Komala for the win, earning us first shot at the Pokémon League. Professor Kukui shares how he was inspired by Kanto to create the league we're about to take on, and guides us in to get our final gauntlet started. Alola's league follows the trend of challenging the 4 in any order you choose, and I opt for the Rock-type Olivia first. Kahuna Olivia won't be holding anything back this time around, but we're ready for her. Bailando starts us off strong with a Revelation Dance Oko on Relicanth. Kate then takes over to deal with the rest. Earthquake does massive damage, but misses the KO on Lycanroc, which leads to it being healed. Low Sweep and Heavy Slam get the job done afterwards. Heavy Slam Oko's Carbink next, and Probopass sets up Sandstorm before falling to several Low Sweeps. Her final Pokemon is Alolan Golem, which survives Earthquake thanks to its Sturdy ability, but it can't do anything meaningful before falling right after. So far so good. I decide to get our next Kahuna rematch out of the way and challenge Hala next. Drake leads, intimidating Hariyama before I immediately pivot to Tiki. I send Drake back out to further debuff with Intimidate, then get Bailando to take charge of the battle. Her Psychic-type Revelation Dance Okos Hariyama, Crabominable, Primeape, and Beware before she has to retreat. Lore takes over to contend with Poliwrath, using Leaf Blade to get the KO and the win. We're introduced to someone new as we challenge the flying user Kahili next. Drake leads again to Intimidate before I pivot to Bailando. Calm Mind powers her special stats, and Roost tops her health up before getting the KO on the lead Skarmory. Bailando is outsped in the mirror match, but the Dancer ability kicks in for instant revenge. Revelation Dance Oko's Crobat after we're poisoned by Poison Fang, and Mandibuzz falls next. We have just enough HP remaining to Oko 2 Cannon with Revelation Dance and secure our third win. It's a familiar face in the last slot as we get into battle with Acerola. It's Tiki's time to shine, using Flame Charge and then Shadow Bone to take Sableye out. Tiki then hits Palisand with her never-ending Nightmare for the Oko, clearing the biggest threat on Acerola's team for us. Sludgette takes Tiki's place against Delmise, using Crunch to weaken it. I pivot to Drake, knowing Delmise will fall to Poison Chip, but this ends up being a mistake as Frostlass is sent out next. Sludgette returns to the field and gets the KO, and she then handles Drifblim with ease for the win. That's all 4 down, which should mean we're champion, but we've already got a challenger for the throne. Professor Kukui came up with the idea, so it makes sense that he'd want the top spot. I won't be handing it over, though. Kate gets the point across with a heavy slam Oko on Lycanroc and Alola Ninetales. Kukui's Braviary sets up a Tailwind and hammers Kate with Brave Bird before going down, teeing Incineroar up to outspeed and wreck our shit. I pivot into Drake to Intimidate and tank an obvious Inferno Overdrive. We'll need his help again later, so I pivot to Sludgette, who does a great job, but ultimately can't keep up with Incineroar and goes down. Tiki gets even with Flame Charge and Stone Edge, and Snorlax is sent out next. I pivot into Drake again for Intimidate, then send Lore out, hopeful that she can outpace the beast. Unfortunately for Lore, she's paralyzed and ends up going down to the onslaught of Body Slam. Kate takes her place, using Tectonic Rage to finish Snorlax off, leaving Magnezone for last. Kate breaks Magnezone's Sturdy with Low Sweep, but she can't handle the Flash Cannon and also falls, leaving Bailando to finish the battle and the first leg of Gen 7. Man oh man, I knew the ramp up in difficulty would be rough, but I wasn't expecting 7 deaths! To my credit, I tried rolling with a few less than stellar Pokemon throughout, and they all paid the price for it. The team we landed on did a phenomenal job getting us to the finish line despite their shortcomings, so I'm still really proud of the run overall. It was nice to experience the Alolan journey again after my first playthrough years ago, even with the constant speed bumps via dialogue. I'll have to stay on top of my level cap adherence now that I have the region fresh in my mind for Pokemon Moon next time.